I'm very curious. ऐसा नहीं, I don't have any questions. I'm not like जो आपने already बोला, I'm not going to ask because I'm very curious. मेरे पास already बहुत questions हैं which I want to ask you. Starting from again that, how did it like? Tell me firstly from the Parsas. We could see a glimpse of that in the Parsas, the anthem the anthem song. We could see a glimpse of that. So tell me about that. So is your Nanihal there or were you?
I was born and raised in Bandipora.
Okay.
So this place you have seen in the video is my maternal house. And the old man holding that radio is my maternal grandfather,
Okay.
Ghulam Rasool Shah Sahab.
Okay. Nice. So in which year did you move to Srinagar or you haven't?
So from Bandipora to Srinagar, it may look like it's just 60 kilometers, but it has taken me 20 years to travel from Bandipora to Srinagar.
Okay.
I left Kashmir at a very young age, went to Dehradun, did part of my education from there. Then I picked up engineering as a profession because my father wanted me to be. जो मैंने towards the end of degree realize किया कि that was not something that I would do for the rest of my life, and I switched to interior design. And then after interior design, I did my MBA and then worked with Amazon, and then finally I came back. So ये सारा सफर जो है, it started from Bandipora and then it ended at Srinagar. And then there was another journey,
right,
which was Kati Junction and then Parsas.
So just as we were speaking abhi thodi der pehle, first the interior design, I want to know about the interior design. You said you inherited that from your father because he was into carpentry.
Partly, yes.
Tell me about that.
I am quite fond of carpentry. I would love to visit timber yards and sawmills as a child. And I think that I hold very dear to my heart also because my basic upbringing and everything that I've done in my early days was because my father was able to, first of all, feed me and then give me a proper education. And so it came from carpentry, and we have accompanied him to his workshops where he would teach his students making joints and these joineries and tables. So we had a very strong, emotion in carpentry, and that's how I think I ended up studying interior design. Yeah.
Then after that, after interior design, you say that you went to the MBA, but in Urdu.
After finishing, it was an Urdu medium. After finishing my interior design, I worked as an assistant designer and interned with a couple of organizations. Again, then it was a coincidence, or it was meant to happen. Like the first organization I interned with worked with restaurants in Punjab.
Okay.
Yes. So then I worked as a designer and realized that it's not something I would do for the rest of my life. It was more of a passion and something I had a very strong thing for, but it was not something that I thought I could do for my living and for the rest of my life. So I switched to management. I went to Maulana Azad National Urdu University in Hyderabad and studied my MBA there. And I think that's where I figured out that there is something that I can do seriously. And I was inspired by a couple of restaurants around Hyderabad. There were a few cultural spaces. One of them is La Makan, where as a student activist I would go and participate in events, and whenever there was something related to Kashmir I would definitely go and be a part of it and volunteer in setting up the space and all. So I think that's where it started, and I knew some people who had left the corporate world and started small food joints in Hyderabad around these corporate parks, and I had a very strong feeling that I could do something good about it. Yes.
So I think you were the president of the student union as well.
I was the general secretary of the students union. I was in fact the founding secretary of the union. We fought for it, and the university was there for 3 decades, but there was no student union. So I think the entire course I spent on establishing the union, and I acted as a secretary for just last semester of my degree.
Share your major takeaways from that union. सबसे ज़्यादा क्या आपने वहाँ से लेके क्या हासिल किया?
I definitely learned a lot from the campus, and it was not just the classroom thing. It was all about the overall experience, the kind of people I spent time with. And if I talk about Urdu as a medium of instruction, I hold Urdu very dear to my heart. मेरी 10वीं में उर्दू में जो है 92 नंबर थे, और बाकी सब्जेक्ट्स में मैं 40-50 के पार नहीं गया था. I think English was the second highest scoring marks, subject जिसमें मेरे second highest marks score किए थे. But ये जो मादरी ज़ुबान में या कोई ज़ुबान ऐसी हो जिसके साथ तुम्हारा ताल्लुक बहुत गहरा हो, पुराना हो, आई थिंक उस ज़बान में कोई चीज़, कोई कॉन्सेप्ट, कोई थ्योरी समझने में ना बहुत आसानी होती है. And I think I owe it to that campus, which transformed me, from a reckless, aimless boy to a businessman. And then my journey with Amazon was definitely the last nail in the coffin, because that's where I actually learned business and the discipline, most importantly, waking up on time, because everything you do needs a certain amount of discipline in your life, and that was taught by Amazon. So my Hyderabad journey was quite beautiful.
Right. So you were hired into Amazon from the college placements?
No, it was in the campus placement
Okay,
thing. So our college was not very active in terms of campus placements. I mean, our university. But I just went with there was a walk-in going on, and this guy on the desk was checking my documents, and there was nothing great about it. Somebody has left engineering, and then he has studied interior design, and then he has an MBA in Urdu, and the name is written in Urdu, which he could not probably read. So, but right next to it, there was my certificate of my students' union, and I am very sure and confident about the fact that he just stopped there and he said, "Welcome to Amazon."
Wow.
Yeah.
So how was it working at Amazon?
It was a great learning experience working with a company like that, and coming from a very, very small background, a very small place, and working with people. And I had a lot of challenge, like speaking in English, writing, because I worked with an American company. I would report to people who would definitely use English as a medium of communication. It was a great learning, personal and professional both. It was a great learning experience. Yeah.
Now, Amazon is a company that most people aspire to be a part of.
Yes.
And you decided that you want to leave that job and you want to come back to Kashmir. And we are speaking about a year when starting up was not as cool as it is today.
Yes.
So how did that happen?
I think I was very clear about my aspirations. I never wanted to probably make a career in corporate world. All I wanted to do is make some money and come back home.
Okay.
So I was just looking for the easiest and the quickest ways of doing it, because time is money. I would not want to waste my years. I was already 24 when I joined Amazon.
Okay.
So I was always in rush, and I just took the job because they offered me good money at a very young age. And also I worked as part-time, worked on referrals, saved my money in whatever ways I could, and just got back home in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then in 14, Kathi Junction happened.
Yes, that was the first franchisee I got from Kathi Junction for the entire JNK.
Was it planned that I'll go home and I'll take a franchisee, or was it just I'll go home then and figure out what
No,
I'll
it
do?
wasn't planned. I'll be very honest. I had some connections with the company through some of my childhood friends in Dehradun who knew the company owners and who had common contacts with them. I first tried to do something of my own, but coming from a human resource background and interior design and experimenting in a place which is very sensitive and volatile, and you don't know how things turn out to be. And then we are a land of bath, rice eaters.
Right.
So I was very cautious and particular about what I was going to do. But then I think it was a very wise decision, because I owe a lot to Kathi Junction when it comes to learning the tricks of the trade. And it was a great experience with them, and that's why it was a very conscious decision to take a franchisee, sign a contract for a couple of years, and then do things later when you are skilled enough to take it further.
And if I'm not wrong, 2014 was a year of flood as well.
Yes.
So what was the scenario as far as that is concerned? So the valley was shed for I think almost a year. So how did that affect your plans?
So my first inauguration of Kathi Junction was scheduled for 9th of September.
Ooh.
And 6th September was the day when we saw water coming in front of Sara City Center, the same place where we're sitting right now. But luckily I was on second floor, and there was least chance of this this place being affected. But then you know how difficult the situation was. Like, life had come to standstill and people had different priorities.
Exactly.
I thought nobody would give a damn to a newly opened restaurant, and honestly I was bogged down, and I was still figuring out, like, should I go back to Hyderabad or stay back in Kashmir. But then God has been very kind. He guided me through his light, and I decided to stay back. I postponed for a month, and I think this was one of the first restaurants which came into existence after floods, and we received a great response in the beginning of it. Yeah.
So, and right before the Parsas was launched, Javid Parsa was already very popular. there were stories of you. There was at that time you were posting selfies. You were not posting the pictures like you do
Yes.
today. Reels were not there. There was only selfies. I would see. I was a kid. I think 10th or 11th. I would see memes of selfie Parsa and something like that. So it was very popular back then. So
Yes.
tell me about that. How did that start? That passion of sharing stories, of capturing selfies.
It wasn't a conscious call to, it wasn't a conscious call to just promote my business through selfies, but there was a point when I definitely realized, no, this is working in my favor. And people are resharing, and there is a conversation going around my pictures. There was a lot of criticism as well.
Right.
As you said, the startup culture and this internet had just arrived in Kashmir, and I have a very dear friend of mine who has mentored me at multiple phases of this career called Shaukat Nanda. He's one of the most celebrated photojournalists, photographers from Valley. He officially gave me a title of Javid Selfie Parsa. I still have the badge inside my office. And there was a point when I took it very positively, and I really loved when somebody called me Selfie Parsa. I remember going to Kashmir University and kids shouting, "A Selfie Parsa is on the stage." Yeah, and I think I very clearly understood the fact that this is working for a man who doesn't have enough money to go to a newspaper, who doesn't have enough money to promote my business through radio or television. And I thought, okay, if I am able to monetize on this, why not? And then it was not just my selfies. So I started a lot of campaigns around selfie. When our very dear friend Basit passed away in 2016, so I posted a selfie from this restaurant wearing a customer's helmet and saying, because I believe if Basit was wearing a helmet, we could have saved him, God could have saved him. And I posted a selfie saying, anyone who shares a selfie with me wearing a seatbelt or a helmet will get a free meal at Parsa's. And that laid foundation of the road safety culture in Kashmir, and it led to a lot of beautiful things. So yeah, and then Gash campaign was there. I would hold my book donors right next to me and post a picture with them. I think it was a very deliberate attempt to keep going the way I went from 2016 to 17, 18, 19. And then you see there was a slight change because I got busy and there were multiple outlets to take care of. But I still love taking selfies with my people.
Right. So you were passionate about photography or anything?
I was very passionate about photography. I will share a very, which I have not discussed before in any of my interviews. My second or third salary from Amazon, I bought a very beautiful, nice camera. One of the good cameras of those times, and I would go on Nikon photo walks, and I was very active in Hyderabad social circle, and I would go for morning photo walks and food festivals and everything like that. And I would take pictures very seriously, and I would learn all the editing softwares. I have taken classes with Nikon as well.
Wow.
But in 2016, when business was shut and I had to sell my camera to pay salaries to my employees. But I'm still proud of the decision I made at that time. Yeah, I was quite fond of photography, and I love being pictured. Yeah.
Right. And photography, and that too, the photograph of your own self, an image of your own self. You are clicking a selfie. That is very intimate to yourself. When you post it online, and if someone is making a comment on it, how does that make you feel? Because even if I get a comment on my podcast or anything, I think about it a lot for 30 minutes or 1 hour. I keep thinking about it. Okay, acha, isne aisa kaha. What is I try to read between the lines. So how did it make you feel if people were actually trying to bring you down or making fun of that?
I will be very honest. In the beginning, it affected me a lot. I would go to my friends and talk to them, tell them, यार इनको क्यों मुझसे problem है? मैं तो किसी का खा नहीं रहा हूँ, मैं किसी को तकलीफ नहीं पहुँचा रहा हूँ. But there was a point when I realized that we live in a very fragile world. पूरी दुनिया को पलटने में वक्त नहीं लगता है. And then my grandfather has taught me a very important thing when I was just started coming on radio and television, and I went to my maternal house. The man you have seen in this video, Katra Katra, Ghulam Rasool Shah Sahab, he was postman all his life, and he has a beautiful journey and a lot of beautiful stories to tell you. He told me that, if you take all this appreciation seriously, then you will take the negative comments also very seriously. So let it not go to your head at any point of time. Just be who you are and keep what you're doing and be true to yourself, your beliefs and your Allah. And I think that's what helped a lot. And there was a point when it stopped bothering me. I still respond to negative comments. When I see there is some sense, somebody is complaining about my restaurant, I definitely take care of it. And when I see it's just out of nowhere, like imagine someone commenting on my profile that you have a bad coffee at your restaurant, without knowing that we don't even serve coffee. I have had the weirdest and the most stupid comments and interactions and things that would affect me a lot. But I think we have come to a point where we have made peace with it. We are accepting the realities of the world and we know कि मोहब्बत भी मिलेगी, नफरत भी मिलेगी, और मकसद ये है कि इसके बीच में तुम कितना संभाल सकते हो खुद को और कब तक तुम ये चीज कर सकते हो जो कर रहे हो.
राइट. सो मोहम्मद मुनीम साहब का एक है वो मेरे अजीज दोस्त जिन्होंने द लेटर है ही हैज रिटन टू हिमसेल्फ
जी,
इन दैट ही सेज कि एक मोहब्बत चूर नफरत हजार होगी.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
सो यू नो तुम्हारे पास शरीर खामा है तो उसको ढूंढते रहना, उससे मोहब्बत ढूंढते रहना. सो दैट इज समथिंग दैट हैज इंस्पायर्ड मी एज वेल. एंड आई विल टेल यू वन मोर थिंग व्हाट यू हैव डन जावेद भाई. इट इज अबाउट आई थिंक ईयर 2017 2018 का स्टार्टिंग था. I was speaking with one of my friends about तो उस वक्त मैंने start किया. I had just started my business. It wasn't even a business. I had just created a sort of a blog type of thing and a social media page for it.
Yes.
So I was discussing with my friend and somehow you came up. I was telling him, okay, ऐसे जावेद पारसा एक है and he's very popular. He clicks selfies and everything. So then she said कि हाँ, I was listening to one of his interviews. He was saying that I give a lot of credit to social media.
Yes.
Social media has helped me a lot.
Yes.
जो ने वो बात कही ना कि he said कि social media has helped me a lot. वो मेरे अंदर बहुत like it just went into me. We can do a lot with social media. And I got my first 3 clients in BookLeaf Publishing only through Instagram.
MashaAllah.
So we started from Instagram only. मेरे जो पहले 3 clients थे.
Yes.
And they took the most premium packages of our
Beautiful.
company. I got them from Instagram only. And it was just because मेरे अंदर वो बात बैठी थी. Javid Parsa is saying.
Yes.
Javid Parsa is saying that you know,
if somebody can monetize, why cannot I? It's very simple to understand. It's just the way you do it and
right.
And how nicely you do it, and it requires a lot of determination and consistency. It's not everyone's job
right
to keep pushing content on internet. Like I know I have done it. I'm still doing it. I was doing it the whole day before doing this interview. Like
right.
You watched half of my
almost,
day.
Right.
And it's just the way you do it. I mean, it's very personal. It cannot be explained. It's the way you communicate with the universe. You communicate with the rest of world around you. And I think the most important thing is to be as original as you can. You cannot be 100% original. There are parts of you that you would not want to go out. But आप कोशिश कर सकते हैं कि आप वही चीज करें जो सच में जिसमें आपका यकीन है, जिसमें बहुत strong belief है आपका कि नहीं मैं ये कर रहा हूँ और ये सही है. बाकी दुनिया को फजूल भी लगे, but I'm sure there's a point when you yourself keep adding value to your things, and I think the most important thing is to take yourself seriously, your existence seriously. If you don't take yourself seriously, world is not going to take you seriously. And I think when I arrived in this place, I just had some experience of living in multiple cities and a degree which I could not use in my business, and few lakhs of money which I had saved from Amazon. The only thing I could do, probably use myself in promoting my work.
Right.
You know, make this life useful. And at the same time, creating avenues for others. The idea, the message, the philosophy was very clear. I was not confused even for a second before doing this.
Wow. So that was about, we were on Kathi Junction. After that, Parsas happened.
Yes.
So tell me how that happened, how you decided that now you want to give up a franchisee and launch your own brand.
It wasn't sudden. I had a plan, but I think working with a company, it had its own set of rules to follow, which could probably not coincide with how I wanted things to be. Probably the menu requirement, the demand, what locals wanted to eat, and you see there was a lot of transformation
right.
in terms of menu, and every month, every season you see there is something new happening at Parsas because I have the direct control over it. And I honestly wanted to create a very strong community of good, young, brilliant, young-minded, business people who believe in hard work and determination, who believe that, you can be anyone from any damn corner of Kashmir, from any income background, from any family, with any kind of surname or title. And you can still come to this place, work, live a dignified life, and be hope and reason of livelihood to so many people around you. And I think that was the biggest motivation. And I'm very happy to tell you that it was the 3rd day of Parsa's launch. I signed my first franchisee. Like somebody was just waiting for me to launch my brand, Parsa's SSM.
Parsa's was launched, and in just 3 days.
In 3 days, I had the first meeting, the first conversation about having second outlet. And I think October 31st, we started this first branch, and in December, we started constructing second outlet.
Which year?
And 2017.
Okay.
And April 2018, we launched our first franchisee at SSM College. So, as I said, I was very clear about what I was going to do with this name.
And that too, after, as you're saying, you launched the Parsas in 2017. We had already faced 2016 when the value was shut for, I think, more than half a year.
It was shut for around 6
Right, half a year. Right. So after that, you still said that, okay, now I want to launch my own brand.
Yes.
Like, where did that mindset come from? And like,
I told you I was very clear. There was no mindset required at that time. I wanted to do in 16. My initial contract was 2 years, and then I had to extend because the atmosphere was not favorable to start something new. And I had to delay it for a year, but I did on 31st October 2017 when I had launched Kathi Junction 3 years ago. Yeah.
So at that time, what was the response from the family?
When I switched to Parsa.
When you switched to.
And I think that I had earned that trust and faith enough already, and they knew that he is going to do something with it. And obviously for a small family in Bandipora who hardly travel to Srinagar, उनके लिए मतलब एक family के नाम को एक brand में convert होते देखना was a very good feeling for all of them. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I have been lucky to receive immense amount of love from my family, from all the relatives. I am the oldest cousin among 50 or 55 cousins. मैं एक बार गिन रहा था. I have a lot of uncles and aunts, मासीs, मामूस. मैं सबका बड़ा भाई हूँ घर में. And I think one of the biggest blessing is that I was able to, be a hope for a lot of cousins. First within, कहते हैं ना, charity begins from home.
Exactly.
And I love how they look up to me and come to me and ask for suggestions, and I am always like more than happy to be there.
Do you sometimes feel overwhelmed, like the responsibility?
Yes.
55 people are looking up to you. 55 young people are looking
every
up to
day.
you.
It's not those 55 people only. It's the entire community we have built around.
Exactly.
It's my 400 employees. It's my 50 franchising owners. It's a lot of people. Yeah, it's overwhelming. It gets tiring sometimes. But there is something that holds this entire thing very dear to my heart, and that's keeping me going.
What is that? Because see, I haven't reached as where you have reached yet, but I do still feel sometimes that your heart is tired sometimes. You are like, कब खत्म होगा ये, your clients are behind you, your team is behind you, and you just want it to just end, just want कि मैं किसी जंगल में चला जाता. What is it that helps you keep going?
I think the most important thing has always been that it is possible in Kashmir also, if we have strong nerve and your heart is in right place. 2 days ago, I was serving my last order to a restaurant owner from Kupwara, 0 miles Kupwara. He's again a franchise owner of one of the second fastest growing food chain of Kashmir, I would say. And that guy also comes from Bandipora, Jibran Khan. And his franchisee owner was here. And I don't know, for some reason, I'm always fond of serving last order. Like I'm always interested in knowing कि आज पहले कौन था और आखिर में कौन था, और मेरी हमेशा आखिर वाले पे नजर होती है. And most of the times if I'm at this place, I will definitely take the last order myself. So I had messaged this guy. I said, Jibran, please promise me, let's keep doing until people start believing in the power of hard work and determination.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so one more thing that I wanted to know was, I was just reading a book, I think last month. It was speaking about taking your business to perfection. You can only give a franchisee of a business when you know that now it is perfect. अगर आप इसके हम 20 या 25 copies भी बनाएं, जो 25th copy होगी वो बिल्कुल first जो original उसके जैसा होगा, which I think you have fabulously done with Parsas. If I go to any outlet, it is just exactly the same as this first outlet. So how is it done? How do you take a business to that level कि अब इसमें लोग आए जाए या जो भी हो, the process इतना robust हो चुका है कि if you can create 100 copies of it, it will still remain the same.
Bro, I will not completely agree with that.
Okay.
That it has to be perfect before you start giving out franchisees. I'll tell you honestly, first 10 franchisees, those are the people I have learned this business with.
Okay.
And everyone coming to Parsas has added some kind of value to this system. What would I offer to someone when I have just been doing Parsas for 3 days? No doubt I was running a restaurant, it was someone else's franchisee. But I had a very strong belief in whatever I'm going to do, I'm not going to wrong anyone. I will try to be the most honest possible in this trade, and I think it's the people who have taught me. If I talk about my first franchisee guys, it's Sohail and Umair. Sohail was a BBA student of first year when he took my franchisee. He was a child. Umair had just left bank and he had no idea what he was going to do with his life. And all of us were learners. And then second, third, fourth, fifth, everyone was just new in this world, and we all collectively made what it is today. And I think I definitely always credit this to my first 10 franchisee owners who actually taught me to do business, who fought with me, had arguments with me. And in the small room that we had, we used to shut our restaurant for days and days to have meetings. We didn't have any other place to go. And I'm blessed that right now I'm sitting in front of you talking from my office. It was not always like this.
Right.
We always had difficulties in even arranging meetings because people had to come from South Kashmir, people had to come from extreme north, and then it had to be a day meeting and I had to stop taking orders. You are a restaurant, you're making strategies. You can't go to another restaurant and do meetings there, obviously. There are things, there is something called confidentiality. And I think all these people have collectively made what it is today. And every franchisee owner, I'll tell you, I am not shying away from saying the fact, आज भी कोई नई franchisee आती है, कुछ ना कुछ लेके ही आते हैं और मेरे घर को भर जाते हैं. They bring some good value to Parsas. They definitely do some addition. किसी के कहने पे हमने ये मेन्यू ट्राई किया, किसी के कहने पे हमने न्यूज़ कोलाज से मार्केटिंग करना शुरू किया, किसी ने ये कहा जावेद भाई हमारी इतनी किताबें हैं, व्हाई कांट वी क्रिएट अ बुक बैंक. किसी ने ये कहा कि हम अपना पारसाज फंड क्यों नहीं कर सकते, किसी ने ये कहा कि हम क्रिकेट टीम क्यों नहीं बना सकते. मजाक में कोई बात एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में डिस्कस होती है एंड ऑल ऑफ अस मेक श्योर दैट वी एक्ट ऑन इट, एंड दैट इज द ब्यूटी ऑफ इट.
So there's no perfection from day one.
No. We're still not perfect. I will never say we're perfect. We're still learning. Before your meeting, I got a very negative feedback from one of my outlets. And I had to deal with it. Yeah. We're still learning. But we're doing it. We're not giving up.
खुदा जब हुस्न देता है नज़ाकत आ ही जाती है. Right. ठीक है. So there's one thing, creating a business. So as I was speaking to you just before we started this podcast, there's one thing to start a business and it's completely another thing to create a brand. Just a few days ago when I visited you, तो मेरे आगे ना when I was coming to Parsas, मेरे आगे एक it was a very young couple और वैसे ढूंढ रहे थे कि कहाँ second floor पे, हाँ सारा सिटी के second. I was like ऐसे ना कोई like when we enter a restaurant we see हाँ यहाँ पे एक पिज़्ज़ा हट है, यहाँ पे एक डोमिनोज है, let's get into it. हम ऐसे ढूंढ के नहीं जाते, नहीं पिज़्ज़ा हट वहाँ जाते हैं. That I could see that in them कि वहाँ पे second floor पे सारे second, वहाँ से देखो ना उधर है ना वो तो है पारसास उधर. So how did you create that brand? Why do people just want to be in your just want to be associated? Why do people just want to be there and click a picture and post it and tag you? See, we had a.
Don't you think my tagline is enough to say that, to answer your question? It was started as food for all.
Okay.
We wanted to create a brand which is inclusive, which will treat you irrespective of your color, your money, what you're wearing, or where you have come from. And I think that's all. That's it. There's no better answer. It's food for all.
Perfect. Very well answered.
I think the biggest compliment I have received is from women who have told me we come here alone. People who tell me this is the only place where we get our parents.
Right.
आज सुबह की अगर आपने एक स्टोरी देखी होगी मेरी.
Someone had brought their parents. Yeah, it was very sweet.
I think that is what it is about, and this is the place where you will see a 70-year-old man attending our opening and being very active about it, being very energetic, and talking to random people and asking them how the food was. Can you believe I have businessmen from towns like Shopian, Kulgam, who volunteered at my inaugurals, who actually left their business and came to my business and helped people eat, served people. And I have never interacted with these people. We just exchange a smile and then it's over. But I know it's always deep down there in my and their hearts that
Right.
we are one. We look at it as
Completely.
it's our brand.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is. If a student who has left 5 years ago, gone to Bangladesh or Iran, and they come back with a doctor title, and this is the first place they want to be, there's no bigger honor than that for me.
And it's not like, I think I was seeing a vlog of yours from, I think it's about 2017 or 18, in which because it was I think a day with Javid Parsa, in which you were saying that how many, so the vlogger was saying that subah se abhi tak itne hugs inhone de diya.
Yeah.
So you just go around and keep hugging people. So that's I think how you create that's how you create a memory in their heart and mind.
Yes,
That
definitely.
happened with me as well when I visited you 4 years ago.
Definitely.
So I was just sitting there, you came and you just hugged me. So I was like, okay, देखो कैसा बंदा है. So that stays with you. That stays with you. So if you are actually working for the people and not for the numbers, it is going to play well for you. It is going to.
Yes.
It shows. It
did, inshallah.
People do see it.
Yes.
People do see it if you are making them feel better. Tell me though about that. When we were just about to begin this podcast, you were telling me about a place in Narwal. There's a small kiosk that has always inspired you. Tell me a little bit about that.
So there is this guy who sells tuj, rista and kebab at Narwal Chowk. I don't know his name. I have stopped there once, but I don't know where he comes from, how much money he makes and what's his motivation. But whenever I go there, he's always there. Whenever I cross that spot, he's always there in the evening. And I remember when we were planning the opening of Tangmarg out, it was snowing heavily. It was very difficult for me to drive downhill from Tangmarg to Narwal, and when I reached Narwal crossing, this guy was still there. And it was a matter of a minute, a few seconds, I saw an alto stopping there and asking for a rista or whatever that guy was going to eat. And whenever I cross that road, I make sure I check out if this person is doing all right. I am always accompanied by my brother Aban, and there was a time when we actually got down from our car and we asked him, why are you here? And it was around 10:30 in the night, peak winter I'm talking about. He was like, I am left with 9 ristas and few kebabs, and I think he had 2 barbecues on his. He was just trying to keep them warm that somebody could come and eat. So we told him, okay, let's just finish and help you go home early today. And we finished the entire food. But it's not about that. I still did not ask his name or anything. But I think I have always drawn inspiration from the very simplest of the conversations, simplest of the people, and very basic experience of daily life. Like, it never had to be very fancy or massy or influential or any sort of that thing. So when I think about this man, I'm like, how determined he is. He could choose to go home, and I'm sure कि ठंड में रिश्ता तो अगले दिन भी बेचा जा सकता है. But he said, जनाब मैं एक दिन का खाना एक दिन में खत्म करता हूँ. मैंने कहा 11 बजे के बाद कौन रुकेगा? कोई ट्रक वाला भी तो रुक सकता है. And there was something about him that inspired me. And then if I keep talking about, there is a list which will never end. Like, it's so strange sometimes that when somebody asks me आपका role model है कोई या ऐसे कोई सवाल, there is none. But there are people जिनसे मैंने बहुत, किसी से नदामत सीखी है, किसी बहुत अमीर इंसान को इतना प्यार से हर एक के साथ पेश आते हुए देखा है तो उनसे नदामत सीखी है. किसी औरत को लड़ते देखा है तो उनसे ये देखा है कि इस दुनिया में जहाँ औरत का सर्वाइवल इतना मुश्किल है, इफ शी इज डूइंग इट व्हाई कैन नॉट आई. मैं तो लड़का हूँ, मेरे लिए तो दुनिया कितनी आसान बनाई है, हम लोगों ने ही. आप समझ सकते हैं. If I see a widow feeding her children, going out to work, there are people who work in the small day in day out just to feed their families. And then when you look at yourself, you are skilled, equipped enough to do a lot more than that, right? तो कोई वजह ही नहीं है आपके पास भागने के पीछे. आप किसी स्टूडेंट को देखते हो जो 10 साल से कोई काम कर रहा है और वो इतना पैशनेट है उस काम के बारे में, वो पागल हो गया है, and he still wants to do it even when there is no hope. He still has some sort of hope,
right?
And then this रिश्ता guy. बहुत सारी मामूली चीज़ों से मैंने बहुत बड़ी चीज़ें सीखी हैं, I think, and I was fortunate enough to be raised by wise men and women जो बहुत ज़्यादा एजुकेटेड नहीं थे, और लेकिन उनको शायद ज़िंदगी की तरफ देखने का नज़रिया हम पढ़े लिखे लोगों से बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रांग था. बहुत ज़्यादा साफ और प्योर था. Yes.
Tell me one thing जो आपको सबसे ज़्यादा याद है which you had like which you have heard from your grandparents apart from the one which you shared earlier, apart from that anything else that you remember that you say कि okay ये मैं हमेशा अपने साथ. So there are some values which we always share कि ये मेरा personal life, professional life, I will have these values. So share some of those which you have inherited from your maybe parents or grandparents.
I think steadfastness and determination towards anything that you're doing.
Okay.
Anything that you're doing, and consistency also. So when I talk about my grandfather, he was a postman. He just delivered letters all his life and it never bored him. And if you look at my work, बहुत साल पहले किसी इंसान ने, एक वक्त था हमारे रेस्टोरेंट का जब हम फीडबैक नोट्स लेते थे, आपने भी शायद लिखा होगा, येलो कलर के होते थे, पिंक एंड येलो.
बिल्कुल याद है मुझे.
और पुलवामा का एक शख्स है जो अभी मेरा दोस्त है काफी अच्छा, उसने लिखा था ए कंट्री विदाउट पोस्ट ऑफिस एंड जावेद काठी जंक्शन. आगा शाहिद साहब की किताब के हवाले से उसने ये एक छोटा सा प्यारा सा नोट लिखा था. आई स्टिल हैव इट फ्रेम्ड इनसाइड. एंड आई थिंक these are the things I was so proud. I called my grandfather and I told him, what somebody has written, because eventually this place became something where people would actually leave message for other people. अच्छा, किसी का रैंडम सामान है, मैं पारसाज पे छोड़ रहा हूँ, मैं काठी जंक्शन पे छोड़ रहा हूँ, कोई आके वहां से लेके जा रहा है. हाँ, ओके. अच्छा, किसी का कुरियर है कि बारामूला में उसकी डिलीवरी नहीं है, उसको कहाँ पे डालना है, जी आप सारा स्ट्रीम में डाल दो. कभी मुश्किल होता है हमारे लिए, जगह बहुत कम हुआ करती थी, बट वी वर नेवर टायर्ड ऑफ इट. I think it's consistency and determination. Everyone who has inspired me has been very consistent in whatever they were doing. कितना वो meaningful या meaningless हो, उससे मुझे कोई मतलब नहीं था, लेकिन कर रहे हैं और वही चीज कर रहे हैं. थकावट है बहुत जरूरी है, और अगर थकावट नहीं है तो फिर तो आप सुपर ह्यूमन हैं.
Right.
थक जाता हूँ मैं भी. Now is the time when I have started taking breaks. I am silent for a couple of days, then I'm like, okay, let's get back to it. Like I had a very eventful day today.
Yes, I was.
And I feel so content. Like my heart is so full that I'm doing this interview after such a nice day. I had someone coming from Kerala and telling me that, my work has motivated them to be here. I had someone who runs a chain of restaurants in Mumbai. वो यहाँ थे, उन्होंने मेरे खाने की तारीफ की. और जब भी ऐसे थकावट का माहौल होता है, आप जिस्मानी तौर या दिमागी तौर थक जाते हैं, तो शायद अल्लाह ताला का एक निज़ाम है कि वो ऐसी चीजें क्रिएट करता है, ऐसी सिचुएशंस क्रिएट करता है, ऐसे लोग आपके पास भेजता है कि तुम्हें आगे थोड़ा
लेके
धक्का मिले जाने का. होता है ऐसा, कई बार ऐसा हुआ है. आई वॉज ऑन वर्ज ऑफ गिविंग अप इन दिस अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स. थक जाता है इंसान, यार क्यों कर रहे हैं, कोई स्कोप नहीं है, थकावट है, कंपटीशन इतना है, कई आउटलेट्स मेरे एक्सपेक्टेशन से बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा कर रहे हैं, कई आउटलेट एक्सपेक्टेशन से आधा कर रहे हैं, बट आई नो आई एम देयर and Allah is with me. Because I personally believe कि मेरा एजेंडा है काम करते रहना, और मैं चाहता हूं कि मैं इसी तर्ज, इसी स्टाइल से करूं, इसी नीयत से करूं. बाकी let's just leave it to him. हमारे गाने में भी तो यही कहा, कत्र कत्र कर जमा करते में सवाब.
Completely agree. So अभी जब मैं आया ना, when I entered the outlet, so वहाँ पे you said that we have some guests here. So I reminded आपने ना कुछ दिन पहले when you were like when this was in renovation, so you had written on your Instagram के खानदान बड़ा हो गया, घर छोटा
बढ़ गया.
So I could like वो मेरे माइंड में सबसे पहले आया.
That's what I meant. We could not even host our franchisee owners for a meeting, and this was the need of our. I had to postpone and shelve a lot of other things to just get this going, and we spent around 3 months on this. And this place obviously will always be dear to my heart. There's no doubt about it.
Obviously. And considering after 1920 का जो हमारा phase था, so there have been actually a lot of setbacks. So like now that I'm speaking with you, I'm not surprised that you survived through all this and you are still going, because now I know there's something else that is driving you. But still I would like to know how was that phase 2019 and 20, because that were the hardest 2 years.
ऐसी किसी भी आफत में दोस्त, I think एक तुम ही हो जो तुम्हारे होते हो. अब कोविड आ गया, सब अपने अपना लड़ रहे थे. किसी को ऑक्सीजन चाहिए था, किसी को खून चाहिए था, किसी को खाने के लिए पैसे चाहिए थे, किसी को मास्क चाहिए थी. आई थिंक द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग कि आप खुद के साथ कितना हो. If you survive as an individual, you know यार you have created it once. ये खत्म भी हो जाए तो तुम अल्लाह ताला से हिम्मत मांगोगे दोबारा करने की. And my priority is always to be sane and going in these times, because I'm not someone who you can put inside a room and let him be. I can't watch television. I cannot watch anything that's beyond 5 minutes.
Okay.
I have a serious disorder. Like I have, in my entire life, I haven't watched more than 20 movies. I'm very confident about it.
Okay.
Yeah. And all the movies I have watched, I had a reason. या तो मेरे किसी अच्छे दोस्त को पसंद थी, या मेरा कोई दोस्त एक्टिंग कर रहा था, या मेरे किसी दोस्त ने काम किया था, या मुझे किसी ने कहा था कि ये कहानी तुमसे मिलती है, तुम जरा देखो. मतलब कभी जितना भी मैंने देखा है किसी रीजन की वजह से देखा होगा, और बहुत फोर्स करके देखा है खुद को. तो मेरे जैसा इंसान क्या करता पैंडेमिक में? तो सबसे पहले जरूरी था मैं खुद ठीक रहूं. सो आई थॉट लेट्स जस्ट पुट माई सेल्फ टू यूज, एंड आई वॉलंटियर्ड फॉर SRO, our most loved youth-led NGO of Kashmir, proudly saying that I am a part of it. तो मेरे लिए वही था, मैंने काम किया, पैंडेमिक खत्म, आई गॉट बैक टू माई वर्क. थोड़े बचे कुचे पैसे थे, कहीं किसी की मदद किया जितना हो सका. पहले तो खुद की मदद की, खुद का ख्याल रखा, अपनी फैमिली थी. माई सिस्टर वाज प्रेग्नेंट ड्यूरिंग दोज डेज. आई हैड a lot of things to take care of, बट प्रायोरिटी ये थी कि मैं अपना पहले रहूं, मैं खुद का ख्याल रखूं, क्योंकि मैंने ही तो किया है. अगर मैं रहा तो मैं कर सकता हूं, और बचाने के लिए भी मुझे रहना है. आई थिंक वो माइंडसेट बहुत जरूरी है. लाइक यू नीड टू लव योर सेल्फ.
Tell me a little bit more about
A lot.
Tell me something more about that.
मैं आपसे क्या कहूँ?
Elaborate it.
अगर आप खुद से प्यार नहीं करते, आप किसके साथ वफा कर सकते हो?
What does it mean to like हमको? There's a very thin line. हमें like maybe most of the people who are going to watch this, maybe they may confuse it with being selfish, or
No.
That's why I said थोड़ा elaborate.
Loving yourself is never selfish.
Okay.
Respecting yourself is never selfish. Valuing yourself and thinking that you're precious is never selfish. Because your God has told you कि आप अशरफुल मखलूकात हैं, आप बेस्ट हैं. तो अगर आप इंसान हैं तो पहले तो आपको अल्लाह ताला कह रहा है कि मैंने आपको बेस्ट क्रिएशन बनाई है. तो आप में है ना कोई ऐसी बात, फिर आपका ईमान भी आपके साथ है, और फिर आपकी पर्सनैलिटी आपके साथ है, आपकी जिंदगी आपके साथ. और ये अमानत है किसी की. हम यकीन रखते हैं ना इस बात में कि हमारी जिंदगी किसी की अमानत है, एंड इट्स गिवन टू अस किसी रीजन से. और अगर आप इस पूरे प्रोसेस में खुद से मोहब्बत करते हैं, खुद का ख्याल रख रहे हैं, ऐसी चीजें कर रहे हैं जिससे आप खुद ठीक रहें, उसके बाद बाकियों का सोचते हैं, इट्स नॉट सेल्फिश. Because in order to be useful to other people, you need to be alive, healthy, fit, and fine. There are times when I think I have neglected my health. I drive a lot. I have driven like lakhs of kilometers in last years. But I know that was the need of our. बहुत जरूरी था ये करना. But हाँ, मुझे बहुत अफसोस होता है कभी अगर एक पल के लिए मुझे लगे कि मैं अपनी तरफ लापरवाही कर रहा हूँ, क्योंकि अपने आप का रहना बहुत जरूरी है. उसी से तो सब चलता है. तभी ना आप मुझसे बात कर रहे हो, तभी मैं किसी को जॉब दे पा रहा हूँ, कभी मैं किसी की हेल्प कर पा रहा हूँ, कभी मैं आपसे बात कर पा रहा हूँ. एंड इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो इन ऑल द एडवर्सिटीज, इन ऑल द लोएस्ट टाइम्स, आई फोकस्ड ऑन माई सेल्फ अ लॉट. इट रिक्वायर्ड डिफरेंट वेज और टेक्निक्स. It required going out, but that again was keeping me fine. And at the same time, bringing some amount of good to others without damaging anyone.
That's a great insight, because you are the source of, like, as you said, that there are 55 people in your family looking up to you. There's around 400 employees looking up to you. So, and you said that your life is ये अमानत है किसी की, and you know कि इनमें से these all of these people are, we can say for the lack of better word, these are the stakeholders in your life now. Right, so for the sake of them and for the sake of your own self,
for the sake of everything and everyone, for the sake of Allah, you have to be kind to yourself. You have to. It's your obligation.
Right.
Harming yourself is one of the biggest sins in our belief. Right.
Completely. So I also want to know one other thing, that अभी जब हम वहाँ अंदर बैठे थे ना, so I couldn't stop looking at that. वहाँ पे एक इकबाल का एक कपलेट है, which is also in your Instagram bio. परिंदों की दुनिया का दरवेश हूँ मैं. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's a philosophy. Like, you cannot be stuck at one place. You need to keep moving. You need to keep exploring the world. And God has said in Quran, "Siru fil arzi, la tufsidu fiha." कि आपकी दुनिया आपके लिए बनाई गई है. आप देखो इसे, आप भागो. और आपकी फितरत में भागना है ना, आप शाहीन हैं.
Right.
So a lot of people have different ways of looking at it, but this is my way. I believe stagnation should not be there. मुझे अभी भी कभी कहते हैं लोग अब तो settled हो यार, शादी कर लो. I don't find myself settled. What if I don't like this next year? What if I find something more meaningful than this? What if I find something that touches my heart a lot way more deeper than Parsa's could?
Okay.
We still have life, inshallah, right?
Right.
So that's what it's about.
Right. And you had said that it has always, like in your personal as well as your professional life, this has been your philosophy.
This has influenced.
You never settled.
Yes.
Great. That is fantastic. So okay, now I'll ask final two questions. So I won't take much of your time. We'll speak a little bit about business. So if in case you had to start all over again, if you had to start one business and not the restaurant business, what business would you start?
काफी शौक है मेरे.
जैसे कि
मुझे फर्नीचर बनाने का बहुत शौक है.
Okay.
मुझे बिस्कुट बनाने का बहुत शौक है.
Sorry?
बिस्किट.
Okay.
मुझे एक स्कूल बनाने का शौक है.
Okay.
और मैं कभी चाहूंगा कि मैं किसी अस्पताल का जरिया बनूं, चाहे वो मैं शुरू करूं या मैं उसका एक हिस्सा बनूं या मैं एक जरिया बनूं. तो देखते हैं अल्लाह ताला ने किस चीज़ में रजामंदी लिखी होगी. इट कुड बी एनी ऑफ दीज 3-4 थिंग्स, नथिंग बियॉन्ड दिस.
ओके ग्रेट. मैं इसको ज़्यादा नहीं खींचूंगा बिकॉज इट्स ये छोटा इसीलिए इतना खूबसूरत है. आई वोंट रुइन इट फॉर यू. सो वन मोर थिंग इज दैट there's a lot of magic in your life. I believe that it's because of the people in your life, be it and not the family, but the people जिनसे आप फिर उससे बाहर मिले, your friends, because you get to choose them. So tell me a bit about, so number one, is it important to have good quality people in your life? And number second, if yes, then how do you attract good people in your life?
Bro, I think in a lot of situations God has been very kind to me.
Okay.
When I was just talking to you that simplest of the experiences have influenced my life. I will share another anecdote which is very personal to me.
Okay.
I was in Bangalore during the abrogation of 370 and I was helping in my small capacity through internet, through whatever medium I could, even if it was just connecting a Haji Sahab to his family in Kashmir. So I reached Bangalore and I stayed in a hotel for a very long time. The bill was it could probably be $500,000 or something. I don't remember exactly. At the checkout time, I was told that we're not going to take money from you. I said, why? They said, speak to the man. And they connected me with someone from the family of the hotel owners. And this guy was like, Javid, I've seen you helping a lot of people. Can you please spend this money on helping someone? And it was not a Kashmiri. It was a Malayali guy, a businessman. And I still remember, I added to that budget, I doubled the amount, and it just moved me. And that's when you feel life is meaningful. Right? तो ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग हैं. सबसे बड़ी दुआ मेरे दादाजी की है, मेरे नाना जी की है, मेरी दादी की है, मेरे वालिद साहब की है खास तौर पे. बहुत सारे लोग हैं फैमिली में जो नेक थे, जिनने दिल से शायद मांगा था कि मैं कुछ मकसद भरी चीज़ करूं ज़िंदगी में. बट सब चीज़ों से ज़रूरी है कि जिन लोगों से बाहर मुलाकात हुई है. दिस सिटी, आई कैन नॉट बिगिन टू टेल और एंड हाउ मच लव आई हैव रिसीव्ड फ्रॉम पीपल.
Right now, do you like filter people or you're like open to all? Because I can see you are open to all, but
there's no filter, to be very honest. But life teaches you कहाँ तक जाना है. वो शायद कभी प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ता है इंसान को. एंड ऑल्सो इट्स अ लॉट ऑफ एनर्जी एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट. कभी कभार फील करता हूँ कि नहीं जगह देनी है तो रोक लेता हूँ. एंड देयर हैव बीन अ लॉट ऑफ गुड बैड एक्सपीरियंसेस इन लास्ट मेनी ईयर्स. क्योंकि आप एक जगह में हो जो बहुत गमज़दा जगह है, जो बहुत परेशान है, जो बहुत मुसीबतों से गुजरी है. हर इंसान का अपना नज़रिया है. कल्चरल जो इन्फ्लुएंस है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है. और कई सारी ऐसी सिचुएशंस आई हैं जहां मुझे चूज़ करना पड़ा दो इंसानों के बीच में एक, और किया है. एंड वेरी ग्रेटफुल एंड वेरी हैप्पी फॉर द डिसीजंस आई हैव मेड. एंड नॉट रिग्रेटिंग फॉर द बैड डिसीजंस बिकॉज एवरीथिंग हैज टॉट अ लेसन.
I'll tell you what I remember about you in 2018 again when I first. तो उस वक्त क्या था कि I think Rohan sir hadn't told you about me. There was no WhatsApp group or anything.
Yes.
He gave me your number and I called you. You just मतलब आपने पहले या दूसरी. Firstly I assumed कि मेरा phone क्यों उठाएंगे? Unknown number है because generally मेरे पास भी unknown number आता है, मैं सोचता उठाऊँ कि नहीं. So पहली की दूसरी रिंग पे आपने मेरा फ़ोन उठा लिया and you told me बेटा मैं अभी ना कार वॉश के लिए आया हूँ, मैं आपको in an hour मैं आपको वहाँ पे मिलूँगा. And so like he's a guy, he's running a restaurant chain and उस वक्त पारसा के काफ़ी मुझे लग रहा है स्टार्टिंग के 3-4 outlets आ गए थे.
4-5 हो गए.
Why is he being so honest with me? He could have just said me कि मैं भी busy हूँ, बाद में कॉल करना. He said it, but मैं भी कार वॉश करने आया हूँ, अब मुझे इतना so that वो काफ़ी मतलब 4 साल बाद भी अभी तक मुझे vividly याद है.
I think I have a thing for details.
So
मैं अभी अपने दोस्त से बात करता हूँ और if I am talking to someone who I think I hold very very dear to my heart, or I am in a conversation where I am just being myself, या मैं किसी ऐसे दोस्त से बात करता हूँ जहाँ मुझे सोच के बात नहीं करनी पड़ेगी, तो मैं डिटेल में बात करूँ. कुछ लोग बोर भी हो जाते हैं इससे, अरे यार इतनी डिटेल नहीं, पॉइंट पे आ जाओ. Yeah, I think it's just me. I mean, there was no deliberate attempt to tell you that I am getting my car washed and I will take time.
I brought it up because of that, thinking you are very open to people.
Yes.
You did not ignore me. You just made me feel कि हाँ, I'll be open with you. I'll be honest with you. So,
but you're younger than me. I will definitely tell you, being a lot open can also be harmful sometimes. So when we grow up, life teaches us कितनी information share करनी है, कितना करना चाहिए, कितना नहीं करना चाहिए. And I think that's the part of growth. You can't change that. You can't suppress that.
Okay.
है ना?
Right. So say something to the 18-year-old Javid. If you had one thing to say your younger self, what would it be?
Nothing, bro. Yeah. Nothing.
Okay.
I don't think I'm in a position where I'll go back and see वो यहाँ पे ये करना था, क्योंकि मैंने हर जो गलती की वो यहाँ तक ले आई.
Okay.
चाहे अच्छा था बुरा था जो भी मैंने किया, तो मुझे ये नहीं लगता कि ओ वहाँ पे ये किया होता तो ये होना था. कुछ ऐसा है नहीं. जब मैं पीछे देखता हूँ कि आई एम जस्ट हैप्पी एंड ग्रेटफुल फॉर वॉट एवर आई डिड. मैं बहुत परेशान रहा हूँ कई फैसलों को लेकर जिंदगी में किसी स्टेज तक, बट मैं बहुत आगे जब आ गया उन फैसलों से, मैं देखता हूँ तो मुझे लगता है यार यही तो होना था और यही करना था शायद. देयर इज नथिंग दैट आई वुड वांट टू गो बैक एंड फिक्स. आई टोल्ड यू देयर आर नो रिग्रेट्स एज सच. Yeah.
So as this अभी recently एक बात मैंने सुनी थी, मन का हो तो अच्छा, ना हो तो और भी अच्छा. Now as Steve Jobs used to put it कि when you look back the dots just connect.
हाँ.
If that bad experience hadn't happened to you.
सब कुछ कनेक्ट करता है. अब आप बोलोगे जी आपने इंटीरियर डिजाइनिंग की है, मैंने नहीं सोचा था तब कि 15 साल बाद मेरी एक रेस्टोरेंट चेन होगी और थोड़ा सा मैं ये दिमाग जो है उसमें लगाने वाला हूँ. किसने सोचा था? तो हर एक चीज जो हमने देखी है. मैं अगर कभी डैड के साथ उनके कारपेंट्री वर्कशॉप में गया हूं, मुझे नहीं पता था ये कब काम आ जाएगी. आई वॉज सो हैप्पी एंड प्राउड ऑफ हाउ आई हैव टेकन इट फ्रॉम माई फादर और एनी वन हु आई हैव सीन व्हाइल ग्रोइंग अप. यहाँ जब कारपेंट्री का काम चल रहा था तो बहुत मिनिमल चैलेंज थे, एंड आई वाज लाइक यार ये तो बहुत आसान है, तुम कैसे कारपेंटर हो, तुम नहीं कर सकते हो क्या?
Right.
So there's nothing that I would go back and undo or whatever you call it, fix it. There's nothing like that. कोई ऐसी चीज, कोई बात नहीं जो मैं चाहूंगा कि नहीं यार मुझे वापस जाना है. ठीक हूं, यहां तक आया हूं और बहुत खुश हूं कि कैसे आया हूं. And I would want to be here. And I think my biggest challenge is to stay. You know, the growing competition, हालात जो हमारे आसपास हैं, दुनिया कैसे बदल रही है, हमारे जैसे काम में रेलेवेंस बहुत ज़रूरी है. सो आई हैव अ कॉन्स्टेंट प्रोसेस ऑफ लर्निंग थ्रू विच आई थिंक आई शुड बी स्टेइंग. मुझे रुकना चाहिए यहाँ पे. कभी कभी आगे बढ़ने से ज़्यादा ज़रूरी होता है कि तुम जहाँ हो वहीं रहो, पीछे मत जाओ.
Makes sense.
क्या?
Do you read? Do you read?
I used to, but I don't get time to read now.
Okay.
Unless and until it's something very important or someone wants me to read it. There are people in our lives who hold a lot of meaning and they recommend something and you will be like नहीं इसने कहा है, मुझे जानता है ये इंसान तो पढ़ना चाहिए. But I think I did not read anything in last many months. It could be a year also.
And what did you use to read when you were reading?
I have read very simple things. Man's Search
For meaning.
For meaning, I have read.
Beautiful book.
One of my favorite books is Flamingo Boy.
Okay, I haven't read
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. I have read that. I have read Ruskin Bond while growing up. और मैं अपना एक रोमांटिसाइज कर रहा था. Rusky runs away from home. मैं भी घर छोड़ के भागा था. Rusty and the Leopard.
that. Right. Exactly.
मुझे भी नाना जी के साथ लेपर्ड मिला था.
Okay.
रूम ऑन द रूफ. मैं जितने घरों में रहा हूँ मैं ऊपर वाली कमरे में रहा हूँ.
Wow.
I was in Hyderabad. I was living in a penthouse. I was in attic in my house where you saw the Katra thing.
I did.
The attic is where I was raised. I have
right.
grown up. तो मैं dots connect करता था. Rusty comes back home. तो मैं काफ़ी रोमांटिसाइज करता था रस्किन बॉन्ड की राइटिंग से. एंड आई थिंक इट वाज द सिंपलेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ इंग्लिश दैट आई कुड कंज्यूम. और वाइल ग्रोइंग अप मेरे लिए अंग्रेजी में बात करना बहुत चैलेंजिंग था.
Okay.
And I think Ruskin Bond is the first writer I have read. And then I have read random books, so-called inspirational books and all. बहुत जो हर इंसान अपनी टीनेज में पढ़ता ही है. हर बुक शेल्फ पे आपको Monk Who Sold His Ferrari मिलेगी.
Exactly.
तो ऐसी बहुत किताबें आसपास की पढ़ी हैं. But there are very few books that have.
कोई recommend करेंगे?
Flamingo Boy.
Okay.
You should read
Take
that.
it.
Yeah.
Is it available at Parsa's book bank?
Could be, but it's with me. You can borrow it from me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, Javed bhai, thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
your very
much.
valuable time. Thanks a lot.
I had a good time.